This is me learning to play Magic the Gathering 4 weeks ago, absolute zero level. I can't play this yet because I would need another land card for it, right? Or do these count? And this is also me, a month later, competing for the world's Okayest Magic the Gathering player title in an official tournament. But before we address why I dressed up as Daenerys, the Mother of Dragons, let's roll back to the start of this story. Magic the Gathering reached out to me, I guess because of my very impressive unboxing skills, this time with a sponsorship campaign for the Strixhaven expansion release, and the idea being that plenty of us content creators would learn to play Magic the Gathering from beginner, absolute zero level, to then compete in an official tournament a month later. I was like, wait a second, this is exactly what we do at Pogchamps, where gamers, streamers sign up for the tournament with basically no knowledge whatsoever, only knowing how the pieces move, and then we train them for about a month before the actual competition. I've always loved being a Pogchamps coach and helping all these amazing students, participants throughout their journey. I think it's very inspiring when you see someone starting out at rock bottom and then going from zero to hero throughout weeks of training. And I wanted to do the same. I wanted to be this time the noob who started something that she doesn't know about and see how far can I get within just 4 weeks of learning sessions. So from a sponsorship campaign, to me it has turned into a journey of self-improvement and learning, and I started out with what we should always start at, the basics, the very basics.
Hi there, Jimmy here to walk you through your first game of Magic the Gathering. The first thing you're going to need is a deck. If you don't have one, see if your local game store has a welcome deck. Some stores offer them for free to new players. They come with 2 30-card decks so you and a friend can learn to play. You can also pick up a Planeswalker deck, a 60-card deck built around one of the many iconic characters in Magic. You win a game of Magic by reducing your opponent's life total from 20 to 0. And that's usually done by attacking them with your creatures and using spells to make sure their creatures can't attack you. To start a game, shuffle your decks and randomly decide who goes first. Usually people roll dice. Draw a hand of 7 cards and whoever won the dice roll goes first. In a one-on-one match, the player who goes first doesn't get to draw an additional card, but every other turn starts with the player drawing a card. The first thing you'll need to play is a land. You get to play 1 land every turn.
Wait a second, this is a lot of new information. Jimmy, wait a second. We need to recap what's going on here. Wait a second. This is a lot of new information for tiny brain Anna. So this is if you were to play in person. You can play Magic with an actual physical deck, or you can play it online. For the purpose of the event, I'm assuming we are playing online because my opponents will be tuning in from different countries. So we're gonna also take a look at how is the arena, how is the online version of Magic the Gathering. I do have a deck, as you have seen from my unboxing. I do have the Zendikar deck, but we're gonna learn the basics from this video. So you start out at 20 points and you want to be the first to make the opponent go down to 0. So we need to, in that sense, you need to checkmate your opponent, right? Checkmate would be when it goes down to 0. You need to be the first to make the opponent go to 0.
To start a game, shuffle your decks and randomly decide who goes first. Usually people roll dice. Draw a hand of 7 cards and whoever won the dice roll goes first. In a one-on-one match, the player who goes first doesn't get to draw an additional card, but every other turn starts with the player drawing a card. The first thing you'll need to play is a land. You get to play 1 land every turn. Lands represent the mana you use to cast spells. You see, every spell you cast has a casting cost, which tells you the number and color of mana needed to cast them. This spell requires 1 white mana and 2 of any color, while this spell needs 2 green mana and 4 mana of any color. This line tells you what kind of spell you're casting.
Wait a second, Jimmy. Wait a second. I understand the mana part mainly from League of Legends, where you also need to have your mana recharged. So the example here is, you play a land card every turn for the mana.
Lands represent the mana you use to cast spells.
So those are the land cards and you need them for mana.
You see, Every spell you cast has a casting cost, which tells you the number and color of mana needed to cast them. This spell requires 1 white mana and 2 of any color.
1 white mana and 2 of any color.
While this spell needs 2 green mana and 4 mana of any.
2 green mana and 4 of any color. That's a lot, isn't it? A lot.
Any color. This line tells you what kind of spell you're casting.
Sorcery.
Some spells stay on the battlefield, like creatures, artifacts, enchantments, planes.
They stay on the battlefield.
Walkers, and equipment, while some spells, like instants and sorceries, have an effect and then go to your graveyard.
Some stay, some don't.
To cast any of these spells, you use your lands for mana. To use your lands, you turn them sideways, or tap them. Tapping is very important because it shows that the card has been used for the turn. At the beginning of your next turn, before you draw a card, you'll untap all of your tapped cards. On your turn, you can cast spells before and after combat. These 2 main casting phases of your turn are when you get to play a land that adds mana, summon creatures.
Wait, before and after?
At the beginning of your next turn, before you draw a card, you'll untap all of your tapped cards. On your turn, you can cast spells before and after combat.
You can cast spells before and after combat.
These 2 main casting phases of your turn are when you get to play a land that adds mana, summon creatures to fight for you, or use other kinds of spells. Now, one type of spell, called an instant, can be cast at any time, such as during combat or even during your opponent's turn. So, think of your turn this way. Your turn starts, and you get to untap your cards and draw a new card for the turn. You can then play anything you have the mana to play. Then you can attack your opponent with any creatures you have. Then you can play any more spells you have the mana to play. Your turn ends, and your opponent's turn begins. There's no difference between the...
Yeah, this is still confusing, but we are just getting into it. And thank you guys for the tips. I see that the arena has a good tutorial, so we'll get to that too. For now, we are watching our first ever video about Magic the Gathering. So let's see what we can learn from this tutorial, and then we're going to continue with more tutorials.
You can attack your opponent with any creatures you have. Then you can play any more spells you have the mana to play. Your turn ends, and your opponent's turn begins. There's no difference between the main casting phases that happen before and after combat. You can even wait to play your land until after combat if you prefer.
Really?
Now let's talk about what happens
Why would you play
during
later,
combat. Because the goal of Magic the Gathering is to reduce your opponent's life total to 0, creatures you control will only attack your opponent. Normally, creatures will never attack another creature, although there are some advanced spells that allow this to happen. In combat, you declare any creatures you want to attack your opponent by tapping those creatures. Remember though, a tapped creature can't block when your opponent attacks you. Also, creatures can't attack the turn they're played because newly cast creatures suffer from summoning sickness. After you decide which creatures are going to attack, your opponent then gets to choose which creatures they block with and who blocks who. Then damage happens all at once. This is a creature's power. Creatures deal damage equal to their power during combat. This is a creature's toughness. If a creature takes as much damage as its toughness, it dies.
Power and toughness.
If a creature isn't blocked, that damage goes to the player. All creatures that were damaged but not killed heal back to full toughness at the end of each player's turn. Alright, let's look at an example. This is also a great opportunity to show you how instants work. Say I'm attacking with a Rune Claw Bear, and my opponent chooses to block with a Summit Prowler.
Okay,
Normally,
guys, we're gonna predict
die.
this. We're gonna try to predict this. So the numbers. The 2 and 2. So he said the first one is our power. So this is for the attack, and this is for the defense. And the same for the opponent. But both of his numbers are higher. What happens here? How many of you know the answer to this? Because I don't. I don't understand at this stage yet how do those numbers work for the attack. What happens here? My creature will die because the other numbers are higher. So I attacked with this Rune Claw Bear, and my opponent has blocked it with a stronger creature, therefore my creature will die. Bear goes boom.
I'm attacking
Let's
with a
pay
Rune Claw
attention
Bear,
to our poor
and my
bear.
opponent chooses to block with a Summit Prowler. Normally, my creature would die, but
Yeah.
I have Ornamental Courage in my hand, which is an instant. At any point during the combat phase, I can play this instant. I pay the casting cost and cast Ornamental Courage on my Runeclaw bear once my opponent has chosen their blocker.
Whoa! Now that's called magic. Look at that! Our bear doesn't go bye-bye. Our bear is now a super bear. Plot twist indeed, Kelly. Plot twist! Our bear is a super bear! We paid the price for it, so that was one land card to pay for this because it shows it there. Yeah, I see the little tree there. Ornamental Courage. Untap target creature. It gets +1 to the power and +3 to the toughness until end of turn. Whoa!
Point during the combat phase, I can play this instant. I pay the casting cost and cast Ornamental Courage on my Runeclaw bear once my opponent has chosen the...
Look at that! 3/5 now. Our card. +1 and +3. Go to the bear, indeed.
Now my creature has 3 power and 5 toughness. It should be enough to turn the tides. But then, my opponent plays High Spire Infusion on their Summit Prowler, another instant in response. Your opponent can respond with their own instants if they have the mana to play them. Now their creature has 7 power and 6 toughness.
Oh no!
My Runeclaw bear
Oh no! Are we going bye-bye even like this? Oh no! Wait, can we counter magic in this situation, or are we going bye-bye? Is this the end of our bear?
Dies. Once combat and your 2 main casting...
The plot twist of the plot twist. We were losing and then winning and then losing. So after our opponent turned the tables with this card, which cost them 1 green mana and 1 of any color, so 2 cards. It cost them 2 cards, which is a +3/+3. It's a really good card. But what happens to the scores after this was played?
Response. Your
So
opponent
our
can respond with
bear
their own instants if they have
dies.
the mana to play them. Now,
And if it's a 7/6, what happens to our life score? What happens to the overall score of ours? I'm attacking this turn, so I don't take damage because I'm attacking. So they just block my attack, but I'm not losing life. Is that how it works? Yeah, my bear dies, so my card goes bye-bye, but I'm not losing points overall.
once combat and your 2 main casting phases are over, you pass the turn to your opponent. And those are the basics of play. Every Magic card is different and affects the game in different ways. Each card also explains what it does. Take a look at Sarah Angel. It has flying and vigilance, and the reminder text explains what those words mean. If you're ever not sure what a card does, you can visit gatherer.wizards.com and search for that card for its full rules. So, now that you know the basics, get out there and challenge your friend to a duel.
Alright, Jimmy, thank you for the explanation. This was a good beginning to our journey. And to continue the journey, I downloaded MTG Arena to go through their interactive tutorial. You wanna show me strength? For real? Ooh, sorcery. Ooh! Oh, my camera's blocking it, and it was a nasty one. It was a nasty card.
One of your creatures can block it.
One of my creatures can block it when it's an 8/8? It's such a strong card. That spell made it super powerful. If you don't block, you will die. Sacrifice the weaker card. Okay, so if I click on this, to block, click or drag one of your creatures into an attacking creature. Confirm your blocks by clicking the button below. Block. So my card died, but at least I keep my life, right? I'm not losing life. I'm still on 7.
Take down that beast while it's still recovering.
Oh! Now I need to attack this one. What do I have? Destroy target tapped creature. How does that work? Cast a sorcerer spell. Okay, let's cast it. So tap means that this creature has just attacked me. Ah, tap means turn. Tap is in use. Aha! So I'm gonna attack this one with my sorcery spell, and it's gone. Boom! One attacker. Easy! I'm just trying to understand what's going on.
We've got you cornered.
Cast the spell. Clear a path to finish her.
Cast a spell. So I have another sorcery spell. Tap all creatures your opponents control with toughness 2 or less. Toughness 2 or less. These are 2. And attack. Click the button in the bottom right corner to confirm.
Well thought, outsider.
-2. And I thought we had to get them to 0. -2. Yay! Our first victory! Even if it's a tutorial. But this is our first victory in Magic the Gathering. The beginning of a journey. From 0 to hero. Maybe from 0 to 0. I might not ever become a hero of Magic the Gathering. But this is the beginning. The first step. The first step. For the next couple of days, I was working on the color challenge, which is basically an extended version of the tutorial, and it helps you understand how the different color mana decks work, what's the strategy and idea behind playing one or the other. And it also gives you rewards. You start collecting your first cards, your first decks. Eventually, for the tournament's purpose, we ended up receiving an account that had access to every single card possible. But if you want to start your journey on an individual account, you should start collecting gems, gold, and earn your own cards. And that grind is really exciting as you unlock more and more cards and build your own deck. The next big step for my training was to have an actual coach. The organizers gave us an option to work with a coach of our choice, and I was contacted by the French streamer Elliot Dragon. Elliot has been following my channel and my community for years already. He loves playing chess, but is a professional Magic the Gathering player. So it was great that I got to work with someone that was familiar with my profession and wanted to help me. We started training on stream and off stream. Elliot was helping me basically every single day for the next couple of weeks. Always ready with advice and tips and homework on what to do next so that I can learn faster and improve from my mistakes. For improving from my mistakes, another big part of the learning process was to analyze my games. Now in chess we have annotation and you can look up your profile for previous games that you have played. In Magic the Gathering there isn't such a tool, so I was recording my computer screen most of the times I played, and then I would send these videos over to Elliot, including the notes I made during or after the games, so that Elliot could understand better the parts of the game I had no idea about, or the questions I had, and he would respond to my videos with an analysis of the games in video format too. So we were basically back and forth sending each other videos of the games, and then Elliot's analysis masterclass on how I should have played and what is it that I can learn from these games. It's so important that you don't get discouraged from bad results, because at the beginning I was losing game after game. Obviously, I was such a beginner that throwing myself out there to random challenges and the ladder meant that I was facing opponents with more experience, and it was a hard, very hard journey. I lost a lot of games. There wasn't much success for me, but it helped me learn a lot and understand what I should have done in each game so that I wouldn't commit the same mistake next time. And after many mistakes and defeats, I finally started to actually show some results. I think it helped a lot that I started to be more familiar with the game, and also that my coach started discovering what strategies suited me more. My first favorite deck was a mono-white aggro deck featuring Selfless Savior and Seasoned Hallowblade, and I loved this deck so much that I eventually tried to convince him to play this deck, perhaps for the competition too. Now, Elliot did tell me this deck is a good one, but it doesn't mean that it will end up winning the championship, and he started showing me more complex competitive decks as well. His main choice for me was a blue-black rogue deck. Before learning about this deck, I didn't even know you can win the game by milling your opponent's cards, and here I had those really cool crabs that would do that, as well as my rogue creatures. Switching to this deck, however, meant that my previous knowledge of the white aggro deck here did not apply at all, and I had to again lose many games before I ended up realizing what I can do better and how this deck actually works. And when that happened, it felt like my eyes opened up. This deck was the perfect deck. It suited my style the same way the French defense, my favorite opening, suits me at chess. It's all about countering your opponent's creatures and spells. It's all about making sure that you are restricting your opponent's possibilities. It's about the counter deck with the crabs milling your opponent's deck while you are trying to stop them from killing you. I love this deck, and it eventually became my championship deck named AnniTheDuck. Now it would take an entirely different video, a full video session, to explain to you what is blankies if you're not familiar with Twitch. But let's just say it's so much part of my community over at Twitch that I responded even to the BBC with blankies. I'm sure they appreciated it. The other participants, Rosie and AnniTheDuck, also submitted competitive decks, while my good friend RTGame spent hours and hours of research on building a unique time travel deck. I had 24 hours to study my opponent's decks and come up with the right sideboard strategy for each and every match for Game 2 and Game 3, as the format of the matches was gonna be best of 3. Annie's and Rosie's deck I did see and play against on the ladder during my training sessions, but Dan's deck was so mysterious, so new to me, that I literally spent an entire evening simply reading his cards to try to learn what is going on with those combos. Elliot, my coach, helped me that night. It was already late night when I joined his stream on a Discord call, and he played Dan's deck against me so that I could train, but I just constantly got crushed in every single game. I guess it's not a surprise to lose against someone who is a professional Magic the Gathering player, but it also showed me, unfortunately, the strength and danger in Dan's deck. I almost cried that night because I felt like I've put in so much effort into training and working hard for this tournament, and then there's this deck that scares me because I felt like my strategy wasn't gonna be strong enough against those creatures and cards. All I could do, and all I luckily did, was to remind myself that the result of the tournament doesn't really matter. What actually mattered is that I put in the effort, I worked hard, and I have achieved a good enough level. Whether I win the tournament or not, I should be proud of myself for that progress, and the result will also depend a lot on how well we draw our cards. After all, it is somewhat based on luck, it is somewhat based on which order you're gonna get your cards. So I went into the tournament with the mentality that whatever happens, it will be fine. As long as I tried my best, I have something to be proud of. My first match was against AnniTheDuck, the other participant who also took coaching sessions, and her coach Solaris actually taught her how to play against my deck before it was even announced. They guessed I was gonna play the Rogue Control deck. She herself practiced a lot for the tournament, but I ended up winning the match quite convincingly, 2-0. My next opponents, Rosie, had a more casual, we're gonna have fun approach to the tournament, and they are also expecting their first baby. Congrats again, Rosie. Thought they weren't gonna be a dangerous opponent because obviously their baby and other projects they work on are their priority, and yet they crushed me in the first game. I didn't react to their creatures in time and they won. I was down 1-0 and I had to make a comeback in Game 2 and Game 3. After the sideboard, I got to play my cards a little bit better, tie the score, and eventually win Game 3 to claim the match. They even trash talked me, the ladies, during the match, but on the post-match call, I think we all figured out that I'm a huge fan of them, and they also ended up liking me.
You're so sweet, Anna. That's so sweet. Thank you so much. much.
Oh.
Yeah, we would love to play you whenever, off stream.
Absolutely, we would.
It would be an honour, honestly.
It would be a true honour.
Thank you. It would be my honor as well. Thank you so much for these games too.
Oh, no, well done.
problem.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Extremely well
And
played.
good luck in your next round.
Thank you. Good luck to you as well, because anything can still happen. Good luck.
Exactly. Oh,
Thank you
so
Anna.
much.
See you soon.
Bye,
Good
Anna.
luck. All the best.
She's amazing. I called her a bitch several times. So sweet. Rosie.
We were like, fuck you, Chef. Fuck you, you bitch.
Amazing. Oh,
Anna was so nice.
I can pee before I challenge.
She watches
Annie.
our content. I'm embarrassed. Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed.
Yeah, Anna's running to the bathroom as well. And so Anna's about to play RT.
My final and scariest match was against RTGame. He is the friend of mine that introduced me to my boyfriend Kevin, and yet with that deck, he's gotta be Dan the Villain, right? Dan the Villain actually played a very strong and close game against me in the very first game of our match, which after a couple of mistakes of mine was a win for Dan.
I can't even click
And
on it. I'm
again,
worried
I
that-
was in a situation
Well
where I
played,
needed
Dan.
to
Well
make
played, Dan.
a
I have so
comeback
much less time
in
than
game
him.
2
I don't think
and game
I
3.
can play a
On
third
top of
match
it, the
if
time
there is a
pressure
third
was
game.
getting
I
more
don't
and
have
more
time.
serious. I had to realize that even
is
if
above my
I win
understanding.
game 2 to tie the score,
certainly was
I
above
may
my
not
ability
have
and
enough time to play and complete the third game. The clock was against me, and my deck is built for the mid game and late game. I cannot just win quickly in 4 or 5 moves. So here I was, trying my best, rushing against the clock and the result board. The second game's win meant that I tied the score, but I only had 7 minutes left for the final decisive game. Can the crab attack do it? Can they milk cards fast enough before my time runs out? Okay, that's it. I shouldn't be listening to it, but amazing song. Shout out to Neustrom, Crab Rave. That's our theme song. That's our anthem of the day. Crab Rave and Blankies. That's what we need for today. Time pressure was always one of my biggest weakness in chess, and now here I was rushing against the clock at a game I learned 3 weeks ago. I was so stressed out and tensed, and yet it gave me a super focus. I was taking decisions on my turn and on Dan's turn. I was trying to use time from wherever I could, and eventually I won the game. It felt amazing when all the tension of that time pressure situation and playing my first ever Magic tournament have lifted, and I could finally celebrate a little bit what 3 weeks of hard work and effort have given to me. But it was not the end of the tournament. This was just the qualifier, and a week later I had to play Dan again for the title of the world's Okayest Magic the Gathering player. But I didn't just want to win the final. I wanted to become a more diverse and capable player, capable of learning other strategies and decks as well. So I told my coach that as much as I love this rogue deck, and it will probably forever be one of my favorites, I want to learn other decks too. I want to become a more skillful player overall. So I started practicing with a Winata deck. Winata is a really cool warrior lady who summons other human creatures from the top of your deck for every non-human creature you attack with. That is, you can win the game straight away if you get to carry that attack out under good circumstances. I found this deck really cool, yet on the day of the submission of the championship grand finale deck, I panicked. I told my coach I was missing my counter spells. I didn't find the deck strong enough in case I had to face a mono red aggro deck, which, as Dan mentioned, was his other option for the qualifiers, so I was afraid he was gonna bring that deck for this time, and I wanted to be ready for whatever he has. Luckily for me, Elliot didn't pull his hair out, but instead told me, "It's okay, Anna. I can teach you something else." And then he showed me a dragon deck that was based on token treasures that will give you more mana, and it also had the blue mana removals and counter spells I was so missing from the Winota creature deck. It was the perfect deck, and yet because we were running out of time, I had to submit this deck list before I could even play a practice game with it. It was quite a gamble in hindsight. We had to trust that I was gonna be able to learn this deck within the next 24 hours, and there was no way back, obviously, since the deck list was already submitted. Luckily, the training games turned out well enough, and even though Dan has upgraded his sideboard, he played the same deck that he prepared for the qualifier but improved on it for the sideboard. I was confident enough that the Dragons can do it. Or maybe they won't. But I was gonna try my best. I also knew that when I signed up for the tournament, Dan was the absolute favorite in my eyes. He has played Hearthstone for years, and it's a lot closer to Magic the Gathering than what I thought my chess skills are bringing to learning this new game. So with his Hearthstone experience, I thought he was gonna be naturally good at Magic, and I wasn't wrong. What was on my side though is that I spent the past 4 weeks by now training almost every single day of my life. I only skipped on very busy days or when I wasn't feeling well, and it led to this final moment, the grand finale. But apart from me taking the tournament very seriously, I also am a content creator, and I couldn't miss out on this opportunity of playing for the theme of my deck, Dragons. And a very obvious pop culture reference. This is gonna look ridiculous! And Dan will see this. He's gonna be terrified. Ooh. I have a cape. Braided sides. Yeah. We're ready. We are ready for this. Dracarys. There we go! And just like last week with the Crab Rave, I of course had to have a theme song too that will boost our confidence and mood for the final battle. Lots of fire today, loads of fire!
Hear my people screaming now, and I see fire inside the mountains. I see fire
Burning those dreams.
burning those trees.
There we go! With the Dragon deck for the grand finale, for the title of the World's Okayest Magic the Gathering player. Can we become the World's Okayest player? For this time, both Dan and I agreed to play without the overall timer so that we could think through our moves without the clock's time pressure. And boy, if I needed that time for critical moments. This will keep creating 3/3s. This is a 4/3. If I put this back into his hand, it will disappear. I could steal this. I have an idea. If I steal this card, then I activate Faceless Haven. It's a 4/3 that can attack Vivian, and Dan has no counters. Dan has no cards. Dan has no cards, and bouncing the token will kill it. So this is not going back into his hands. This dies. So first comes first. We are stealing this token, and then we are creating a creature out of this beautiful land card with lots of snow on it. That's a 4/3 that will attack Vivian, and Vivian should die. I sure hope my calculation is correct. I sure hope. Okay, Dan. Return target non-land. Wait, can I also do this? Oh. Okay, I'm gonna do this first. I'm not auto-paying this one in case it takes my Faceless. I'm not paying with Faceless. I think it's time for Faceless. Faceless will attack Vivian. Wait. Oh no! I paid with my Snowlands. Oh no, I messed it up. Oh no, I didn't realize. I was so careful to not pay with Faceless because I wanted to use Faceless, but I paid with the Snowlands instead of the treasure. Oh, I blundered the Snowlands away. Plan B. I need a plan B. But in the end, the dragons arrived. All attack. All in. All in. Dracarys. Dracarys. I'm sorry, Dan. But the dragons had to win today. The dragons had to do the job. The dragons had to do it. We did it, folks. We did it. We won. His cards were so scary. The Gargaroth and the Vivian, I was terrified of. But we stopped the big cards, and then slowly but surely developed. Slowly, very slowly. I'm gonna need to call Dan.
No, congratulations, well played.
Thank you, but you
Dex
did
is very,
so
very
well.
strong. Like, Jesus, everything was just countered again. I couldn't do anything.
Thank you so
Congrats
much.
on winning the tournament.
Thank
the
you,
Okayest
Dan.
Magic player.
So was it worth putting in all this effort to learn Magic? My answer was gonna be yes, regardless of the tournament's result. I was just genuinely proud of every little step I took and all the mistakes and defeats that took me closer and closer to a better understanding of the game. Every day I felt like I was a little bit wiser, a little bit better at a game I was trying really hard to master. It felt such a rewarding journey to go from complete noob level to a decent understanding at a brand new game for me. And of course I wouldn't have been able to do any of this if Magic didn't contact me for the Strixhaven expansion campaign. Thank you so much again to Magic and to yours truly for asking me to be part of this project. Huge shout out obviously to my coach Elliot Dragon, who was so hardworking, so dedicated to helping me on and off stream 24/7 every single day during these past 4 weeks. I cannot thank you enough, Elliot, for being such an amazing coach, and I will keep supporting you also with chess lessons in case you want to get back on the chess grind yourself. To my community, you have been always such a wholesome, supportive community, always having my back at everything I do. I pick up games randomly on my channel. I stream chess and variety gaming, but this time it was a longer journey. It wasn't just a 1 or 2 stream session. It was me training constantly to try to do what my Pogchamps students do at chess. I wanted to be just as inspired, just as motivated to do my best at a new game, and we eventually did it together. Thank you, tomatoes. And last but certainly not least, huge thanks to Kevin for being such an amazing life companion who always believes in me. He always supports me, the moral support as well as the time I'm dedicating to this or that project. The time that I have dedicated for Magic was always taken out of our usual routine and oftentimes didn't leave us that much time for doing other things. And yet he said he was gonna train with me, and he started playing Magic just so that I can practice more. I told him I couldn't believe how supportive he was of something that didn't really matter on the grand scheme. The tournament didn't have prizes. It didn't matter for the campaign if I win or not. It only mattered to me. And yet he said, "Isn't that the best though? Isn't that the best type of motivation? That you do it because you want to. Your inner motivation is driving you, and you want to do your best. You want to try to give your best." And he was so right. This whole journey felt so fulfilling, so rewarding, because I felt like I was doing a little bit better every single day. And that's what we can all do, in fact. Do you have a hobby? Do you have a passion project? Do you have something you need to do for school, for work, that can motivate you to do your best? It feels amazing when you have that drive that pushes you to sometimes even train or work on it when you don't feel like. Because I guess the time limit was a good factor in a sense that I only had 4 weeks to learn, nothing more, nothing less. So I was pushing myself sometimes to the limit, and training also when I was tired and I wanted to sleep instead of training late at night. Sometimes that can help, I guess, the deadline. But you too can give yourself deadlines. You too can give yourself milestones that you are trying to achieve. It is the journey that matters, not the destination. So do share with me in the comments below what is something that you want to work on. What is a skill, a field, a passion project, a hobby that you want to get better at, and what will you do to try to get closer and closer to that goal, step by step. Thank you so much for watching this video again. I will certainly play more Magic in the future on and off stream, and I'm also looking forward to more skills and games I can learn about, because it truly is such a rewarding, such a fulfilling journey. Because when you're dedicated and you put in the effort and work, that's when true magic happens.
Now I see fire inside the mountain. I see fire.